You're listening to the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play.
The options market can be a confusing place. Sorting through the daily avalanche of data, alerts, updates, articles, and analysis to find the most important information is an overwhelming prospect. But now you have help. Welcome to the Options News Rundown, the only program that breaks through the noise to bring you the most important news and information from the world of options. Every day, we bring you the top 5 option stories curated by the options experts at theoptionsinsider.com, the premier source for options information. The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider. And now it's time to break through the noise. It's time for your Options News Rundown.
Good morning. Today is Tuesday, June 4th, 2019. This is your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Our first story today is from investing.com. It's the top 5 things to know in the market on Tuesday. First thing to know is Fed Chair Powell to speak as hopes for a rate cut grow. While U.S. President Donald Trump's tariff policies have escalated concerns over the risk of global recession, markets have increasingly become convinced that the Federal Reserve will need to react with looser monetary policy in order to support the American economy. St. Louis Fed President James Bullard boosted these hopes on Monday when he said that unresolved trade disputes and below-target inflation suggest that the Fed needs to tread carefully in order to help sustain the economic expansion, and indicated that a rate cut could be warranted. He's the first Fed policymaker to go that far. Fed Chairman Jeremy Powell will have a chance to chime in with his latest viewpoint at 9:45 a.m. when he speaks at a conference organized by the Chicago Fed. Several other Fed members will also be speaking at the 2-day conference. On Tuesday's data calendar, factory orders for April will be released at 10 a.m. Eastern Time. The second thing to know is global stocks are mixed as tech woes spread. Regulatory fears over the U.S. tech sector that sent the Nasdaq sharply lower in the previous session sent waves through Asian markets on Tuesday. The Shanghai Composite led indices lower, closing down 1%. Australia's S&P ASX 200 bucked the general trend, ending up 0.2%, after the country's central bank cut its benchmark rate for the first time in nearly 3 years to an all-time low of 1.25%. The first signs of U.S. antitrust action against major internet companies also sent shockwaves through European tech companies, but markets were supported by growing hopes for relief from central banks. The pan-European Euro Stoxx 50 gained 0.4% ahead of Thursday's monetary policy decision from the European Central Bank. The third thing to note today is Trump talks up a UK trade deal. U.S. President Donald Trump talked up the possibility of bilateral trade agreement between the U.S. and UK after the latter leaves the European Union. Trump made clear this week that he believes the UK should walk away from negotiations with the European Union over its departure from the bloc if it can't get a fair deal. The negotiations have, however, already ended. The EU have already ended, and the EU officials have said they won't reopen them. Local media reports that Trump had privately urged May to take a tougher line on Chinese telecoms giant Huawei after the UK government decided not to ban its equipment from the country's 5G networks. Fourth thing to know today is analysts are free to speak on Uber as quiet period ends. Dozens of analysts that have been gagged by industry practice will be free to speak their mind about Uber from today. Morgan Stanley, Goldman Sachs, and Bank of America are just some of the investment banks that underwrote the company's market debut on May 9th and were thus barred from covering the stock until the quiet period lifts on Tuesday. The shares have lost nearly 10% since then. According to Refinitiv data reports by Reuters, 3 analysts not involved in the underlying already issued a buy recommendation, with 5 others giving neutral ratings. And the fifth thing to know, oil heads lower on demand worries, and U.S. inventories are ahead. Oil prices fell as an economic slowdown started to dent energy demand, and investors turned their attention to weekly inventory data, with concerns mounting that ongoing Sino-U.S. trade tensions will heighten a global economic slowdown, including the potential risk of recession. Analysts commented that risks could dent oil demand. Our second story today is from investing.com. Global energy prices are pummeled by economic slowdown forecasts. Energy markets are being battered across the board as negative data fuels concerns that consumption of oil, natural gas, and coal will be hit hard by a global economic slowdown. Oil, the world's most used fuel, has seen prices fall by 20% from their 2019 peak in late April, with Brent crude oil futures threatening to fall below $60 per barrel for the first time since January. And prices of thermal coal and liquefied natural gas, mostly used in power generation, have hit multi-year lows. Fear of global economic slowing is afflicting the entire energy complex, with worries that demand growth will be bearish this year, Peter Kernan, lead energy analyst at the Economist Intelligence Unit, said. Front-month Brent crude futures were down around 1% on Tuesday after the Institute for Supply Management's gauge of U.S. manufacturing activity fell in May to the weakest level in more than 2.5 years. And our final story today is from MarketWatch.com. Feds target 4 of the biggest tech companies in the U.S., and their stocks are getting slammed. A federal government crackdown is reportedly targeting big tech, leading to severe punishment Monday on Wall Street. Shares of Alphabet, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple were slammed Monday after a series of reports that have rolled out since Friday afternoon, claiming that those companies face regulatory scrutiny from the Trump administration. Alphabet's Google division, Amazon, and Apple reportedly are under investigation by the Justice Department, while the Federal Trade Commission is said to be investigating Facebook. Late Monday, the House Judiciary Committee also said it would investigate competition in the tech industry. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is news you can use for today, Tuesday, June 4th, 2019, your Options News Rundown. I'm Dan Passarelli. Trade smart and have a great day.
The Options News Rundown is brought to you by Market Taker Mentoring, the leader in options trading education. Get trader education, daily trade ideas, and more with a free 1-week trial of Market Taker Mentoring's Live Advantage Group coaching class by visiting markettaker.com/insider.
The preceding program was a production of the Options Insider Radio Network. For more quality options programs, visit www.theoptionsinsider.com or search for Options Insider Radio Network in your podcast provider of choice. Listeners can also access all of our programming through our mobile app, available in iTunes and on Google Play. Don't forget to follow along with your favorite programs and submit your own questions for the hosts at twitter.com/options, facebook.com/theoptionsinsider, or via questions@theoptionsinsider.com.